When I was 13, I figured out that I knew many words in English, and I could also identify many structures of this language. These words and structures that I knew were so difficult and complicated to my classmates to learn. Later, I was talking with some friends, and we discovered that all we knew many words and structures than others didn't. You might be wondering, what did we have in common? Well, the answer is video games. Video games help us to learn another language. This could be weird, but in our context, as teachers, we know that learners learn faster and easier and more effective when they are playing. In the 90s, video games were not translated in Spanish. Dialogues were in English, voices were in English, and instructions were in English. When I played video games, I heard characters interacting each other, talking each other in English. My brain understood and retained this information because of context, and I knew what they mean. Unfortunately, people think that video games are bad for our children. However, I found out that video games are not bad at all, and they can help us to acquire logical intelligence and strengthen our brain. Let's see how video games can help us to acquire logical intelligence. Queen Mary University from London made a study. They figured out that video gamers are able to answer psychological quizzes and answer critical thinking exercises faster and more accurate than other people who doesn't play video games. Now, you know what to do if you have to do homework for Marcia. On the other hand, a study made by Daphne Babler, a neuroscientist, discovered that video gamers are able to make decisions and solve everyday problems faster than people who doesn't play video games. Then she decided to scan their brains while they are playing video games, and she discovered that video games affect palatal lobe, which controls the attention. Video games also affect the front lobe, which orients attention. And finally, it affects the anterior cingulate, which controls the attention. Now that we have seen how video games can help us to acquire logical intelligence, let's see how video games strengthen our brain. A group of German scientists made a study. They discovered they had two groups. One of these groups were asked to play Mario Bros for 30 minutes every day during 2 months. After this time, they examined this group, the gaming group, and they found out that they got an increase of gray matter on hippocampus, on the right hippocampus, on prefrontal cortex, and in the cerebellum. These parts of brain are in charge of memory, planning, strategy, and the fine skills of hands. Now, video games are bad for youths. They said the same for rock and roll. These words were said by Hideo Kojima, who is a designer and producer of Konami, a company of video games. As we have seen, video games are not bad at all, and they are a good way to stimulate our brains and to acquire logical intelligence, and it also strengthens our brains. Now, hopefully, video games, but many people will think that video games are not bad at all.